What do you feel so awkward? Like I'm looking at you and I feel
You
awkward.
want me to go? I can leave
No,
for a
I'm
bit.
just kidding.
I go get your cream.
Are we
Doesn't
recording?
matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're recording. We're ready to go.
All right.
So what are we talking about?
What's that?
What are we
Well,
talking
you know what? I guess we're going to start off with the importance of recognizing the challenges for First Nations emergency management within the
Okay.
First Nations. The challenge is for our nations and for our communities is the understanding of what emergency management is. What does it consist of?
Okay.
Gauging it to, is it really important? Is it up here in terms of budgetary considerations?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it one of those things where it's like, you know what? Do we need it this year?
Right.
Because that's one thing that we could possibly cut.
Mm-hmm.
And also the recognition of the person that's trying to work in that emergency management atmosphere within a community
Mm-hmm.
that understands the risks and understands what the community is kind of wanting and sees in terms of public safety within emergency management. So security services,
Mm-hmm.
if you have your own policing service, what does that look like? Where does emergency management fit? So now is the time where some nations are doing a re-election now.
Okay.
So the way I've seen, I know back home on Siksika Nation, they right now today's nominations. I think today was nominations. So now they're starting a campaign.
Okay.
So people will start putting together forums because they
Mm-hmm.
want to hear the candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly if the current leadership wants to brave the questions, because it is hard.
Sure.
It is
Yeah.
hard, right? Because they're under, that's the concept of elections, is that's what it's all about,
Mm-hmm.
is a comparison to the current chief and council to, what the new potential candidates are. So
Mm-hmm.
now's the time to get away from, I'm not saying it's not important, so let me clarify that, is every forum that I've gone to, it's always kind of the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
Money, which is important. Youth, they always talk about the youth. We're going to do this for the youth, and
Sure.
right? It's always the same thing, right? They talk about how they want to change the nation in terms of maybe economic development.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the tone of it, right?
Right.
That's what they speak of. However, there are some counselors that have been there that have said, we want to take a grassroots approach.
Okay.
And I remember seeing the first forum thing, I thought to myself, what is a grassroots approach? So the reason why I'm saying all this is I want to tie it back into emergency management. So you want to talk about grassroots approach to the community, is listening to the community.
Mm-hmm.
What are the needs? What's happening right now? Safety it should be top priority for your community. So right now, you see it all over the news. We're dealing with human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting feedback from, you see it on the news, of vehicles that are being seen in First Nations communities
Mm-hmm.
that aren't supposed to be there.
Right.
And it's a big worry, right? And so it's talking about that grassroots approach of what do we really want to take an approach of what do the people actually need?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they can't do it all the time, but it's picking the important things. And that's how emergency management needs to be a part of, because emergency management, the definition of it that council needs to know is that emergency management is involved with everything within the nation
Okay.
that hasn't been recognized or been vocalized, hasn't been presented to council of what emergency management is. I mean, we look at now the municipalities and look at government, they still don't know what emergency management is, right? They don't
Mm-hmm.
know, they can't pinpoint it. They know it's important.
Yeah.
They know they have to fund it,
Mm-hmm.
but strategically they're like, where do we start?
Yeah. Where does it fit?
So you take that at on a First Nations perspective. And the definition of emergency management within a First Nations community is the safety of the nation.
Mm-hmm.
So talking to police, security, whatever you have, the fire departments, working on improvements or how emergency management can assist, because a first responder, their job is to that first responder. They're going to the fire.
Right.
They're dealing with the fire. The police are dealing with the incident. They're dealing with the unfortunate thing that's going on. If they're at an accident, it's a
Mm-hmm.
big it's an MVC. You're dealing with people. Emergency management fits within that concept of supporting them. So if they need, while they're getting the people ready, if it's a house fire, they need to set up hotels or
Mm-hmm.
temporary place where they can go. Or even if there's a mass evacuation within a school,
Mm-hmm.
work with the school, work with the bus services that they have within the school, and emergency management can help coordinate bringing buses.
Right.
Call the bus, they'll call the buses
Yeah.
and get them there to help them so the kids can be in a warm place while the school is being fixed. So
Mm-hmm.
it's that concept of emergency management thinking.
Right.
And when you start thinking about that, you start going, oh wow, there are gaps. And that's where I look at for emergency management is emergency management fills those gaps
Mm-hmm.
of recognition of recognizing we need to plan for this. Like we talk about all the time, oh, we need to do
Mm-hmm.
this, we need to do that. That's what emergency management brings forward and helps develop that. So if a security services is too busy and they can't, they're trying their best, and and I say this, all departments, they try their best. They really work hard with what they have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they don't have the time to look at how emergency management would fit within their department. So I challenge everyone now is if it's election time to start talking about what's our plan because Manitoba is on the forefront right now.
Right. So what are they doing?
Exactly. So it's it's telling council, look, I get the youth, I get the budget. How are you going to support keeping us safe?
Mm-hmm.
What
Right.
does that look like? What does it look like to engage in a community preparedness
Mm-hmm.
to improve if there is a grass fire, which is predominant in southern Alberta, or a forest fire or wildfire that's in northern Alberta,
Mm-hmm.
or centrally get a combination of both, is what is council going to be doing and what are they going to commit to that?
Mm-hmm.
Business continuity is huge for First
Mm-hmm.
Nations, right? It's very limited to the amount of staff that's for some nations for administrative wise. However, you take away one piece of an administration, and it could be anything. The business continuity is gone. And when that's the hub of everything, so
Mm-hmm.
paying bills, if there's family child services that need to have supports, um, even financial supports within the community.
Mm-hmm.
If the nation is shut down, it's done, right? You've got to think of, and that's where emergency management comes in.
Right.
How do we keep the continuity of a nation? So it's telling council that. What is your plan for that?
Mm-hmm.
What is your plan in the future that if we're going to build economic development in our community, gas stations, if we're going to, we got to, some areas have highways,
Mm-hmm.
like we at Siksika Nation, we dropped the speed limit.
Okay.
Um, I was involved with getting the peace officers. So we have peace officers in the Siksika Nation,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing a hell of a job. They're on the main highways to the reserves, and they're slowing people down,
Mm-hmm.
reducing accidents,
Yeah.
reducing because you see a lot of people are walking on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
Don't have vehicles, right?
Right.
The point I'm trying to make is making that awareness with council and council understanding
Mm-hmm.
when they're looking at what's important for the nation. Go beyond the numbers. And I think that's what it
Right.
really boils down to. which is any political entity. What are the numbers? How
Yeah.
can I save money? How can I?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what emergency management can do. It can help with the strategic planning of if you're going to build houses,
Mm-hmm.
right? For myself, I've got experience being deployed in Fort McMurray and some major wildfires, Yellowknife fires, where if they're possibly engaging with emergency management or an expert, or the emergency management will bring experts in for strategic planning if they're worried about wildfires in their community or grass fires or anything like that. It's how do we change the material
Mm-hmm.
of our
Right.
buildings,
Yeah.
right? That should be brought up.
Yeah.
Emergency management can help support that
And ask those questions.
by ask those questions, by
Yeah.
be there with housing, saying, look,
Right.
CMHC, which is the the funder of most of these homes,
Mm-hmm.
should be aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
And an emergency management director can help with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they want to talk about money in terms of helping the nation. There's funding out there for emergency management support,
Mm-hmm.
building capacity, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's they have to again challenge the council now. Do you understand emergency management?
Right.
Why is that not on the forefront?
Yeah.
Because if you look at Manitoba, the government just gave out a supportive funding
Mm-hmm.
because they recognize every nation should have some kind of emergency management. Now they call it a coordinator.
Okay.
I don't agree with that. And the reason why is this. If you use the terminology coordinator, they're at a level of where they can do their job,
Mm-hmm.
but not at a level where they can make change.
Sure.
They get bogged down if they've got 3 supervisors before it gets to
Mm-hmm.
the decision makers.
Right.
It doesn't go anywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
then the the sad part is what happens is these coordinators are really working hard, and that's why I want to promote is when people see this, when they see the videos, is call me, reach out to me, and we can help
Mm-hmm.
put in words, right?
Right.
Come out to the nations and do recognition. They they get scolded because they're not doing a good job,
Mm-hmm.
and they're pushing back saying, well, I did, like
Yeah.
I've got these programs, I've got a budget, I've been doing this. However, it's not on top priority.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to sum up everything I just said about that now is look at, so when I first started as director of emergency management, they gave me, my budget was $200,000.
Okay.
So not very much.
Mm-hmm.
When I started in that position, I told myself, I'm not going to be that person that complains about my budget.
Okay.
I want to be that person that goes, put my money where my mouth is by there's money out there.
Mm-hmm.
If the nation gives enough support to that person, to the coordinator of it, you can find funding specific to emergency management, which can offset your budget.
Mm-hmm.
There's money out there to do risk assessments,
Yeah.
proper risk assessments, working with the EM coordinator, right? Now I want to clarify. I believe in resilience and empowerment of all the First Nations emergency management. And what I mean by that is if you're going to hire somebody to come in, funding, that's going to help you with that risk assessment. It's going to help you with any potential assessment of how the nation is.
Mm-hmm.
The coordinator needs to be a driver of that.
Right.
So you tell the person what you want. Sometimes what happens with, like what happened with myself, you've got to teach them
Sure.
cultural, like,
Yeah.
because they're doing a risk assessment that they do every day,
Mm-hmm.
going to a community, going to a municipality or wherever. They don't understand when I say we need to map out in a risk assessment our Sundance area
Mm-hmm.
because that's culturally important
Mm-hmm.
to Siksika Nation.
Right.
And if you don't have a plan for that, outside agencies coming in to try put a fire break up there
Mm-hmm.
or anything, they don't understand the cultural significance,
Yeah.
and they may bulldoze that area,
Right.
and that would be devastating.
Yeah.
All that cultural, that history's
Yeah.
gone, right? The fact of doing, I talk to some of the northern communities
Mm-hmm.
where they're doing prescribed burns, and I get that piece. I get the piece of
Yeah.
prescribed burns to do fire smarting.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's no consultation with the nations that are in that area.
Yeah.
I know it's Parks Canada. I know that's a federal.
Mm-hmm.
However, that is still native traditional land.
Right.
And from my experience in northern Alberta, they truly go with the traditional way of
Mm-hmm.
gathering.
Right.
Certain times of the year, they they gather off the land and
Mm-hmm.
they gather berries, they cut wood, they've got areas where they get medicine,
Mm-hmm.
sweetgrass, clay for painting faces, all of that stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
in nature.
Yeah.
And if an agency comes in just to prescribe burn without any consultation, they
Mm-hmm.
may burn off all of
That area.
that traditional stuff that the First Nations still utilize.
Yeah.
So again, tying it back to EM,
Mm-hmm.
that's what emergency management is for First Nations.
Right. So making it part of the plan so that
Yeah.
it's always prioritized, not
Yes.
maybe accidentally or disregarded by
Yeah.
external agencies when a crisis comes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, with my partner Brad, and in the very start of this thing, we talked about colonialism,
Mm-hmm.
emergency management,
Right.
that we want to get away from that. Let's clarify that. What do you think, Chelsea?
Colonialism in
For
emergency
emergency
management.
management. What do you think? What do you
Well,
think people would say about that?
I think that would be the way we're doing things right now, is a colonial emergency management
The way
approach.
Hazerscape is doing it.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. I mean emergency management from more of a government perspective, the provincial and federal government coming in and, like you say, when there's a crisis happening and they bulldoze the area or they do prescribed burns without
Yeah.
consultation, like that to me is colonialism.
Yeah. So just I guess to clarify, that's a definition of what colonialism is towards First Nations in terms of
Mm-hmm.
emergency management.
Mm-hmm.
Is the fact of still, if we want help for an outside agency, we get funding and everything like that.
Yeah.
They come in, and what do they say? They're coming in as the experts in EM, and
Yeah.
they're saying, "You need to do this.
Yeah.
You need to do this for business continuity."
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a good understanding and support in emergency management, they're like, "Okay,"
Yeah.
and it's not effective for First Nations, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to clarify for the colonialistic
Mm-hmm.
mindset of what outside agencies will come in and take advantage of sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
However, I want to also, because I don't want to be, again, with colonialism and awareness,
Mm-hmm.
there needs to be an educational part of it.
Yeah.
And a positive perspective on it. So what I mean is, some people don't know that they're doing colonialistic
Mm-hmm.
ideology or
Right.
strategies towards First Nation because that's the way they've been trained.
Yeah.
So I go back in answering that is talking to an elder and talking to some of the societies is we their job, and as you get to a Horn Society or that level, they need to they coach the younger generations of First
Mm-hmm.
Nations. They talk about their traditions. They do that. So it's at the same time too. It should be us showing them, look, you may not understand what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Let us tell you
Right.
our perspective,
Yeah.
and maybe that'll change. Maybe that'll filter out into the federal government of what it looks like to work with First Nations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything I'm talking about is again, I want to keep tying it into what emergency management is that needs to be said to council, that needs to be said to the directors of directors in the administration department.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at a housing perspective or public works, they're like, I don't understand like, how is your role going to help me,
Yeah.
right? And we go back to that whole infrastructure thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
With emergency management is if there's infrastructure needs, is emergency management can bring up those considerations. So what I mean by that is when an engineer builds a road. So when I was a deputy chief in Sutina
Mm-hmm.
for emergency management, they were just starting to build new administration buildings. They just did that whole
Okay.
land agreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the discussions of the engineers that are building the roads that are going to be going to new administration offices and new roads.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them, I said, that road you've engineered, how many people can we flow on that road in an hour or whatever it is in case of an
Okay.
emergency?
Yep.
An engineer knew that. And he looked at me and said, Stace, that road, if you'd evacuate, can evacuate 1,500 people an hour.
Okay.
So so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Public Works, that's how emergency management can fit in there, is that
Mm-hmm.
we just ask those questions.
Yep.
And that might support Public Works saying, that's why we need a bigger road
Right.
or more
Yeah.
egress roads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of that.
Yeah.
When it comes to infrastructure, is understanding and supporting, like you're talking to the fire departments,
Mm-hmm.
they need supports. Um, again, if Public Works is doing infrastructure, talking to the fire department saying, we need this size of water mains
Mm-hmm.
because we're flowing, this is how our truck works, right? It's that support. It's that support of
Right.
when you're expanding a community is how is the setup of the roads? Like we got to think about
Mm-hmm.
flow. We got to think about getting people out. We got to think about when we first build a community, how can we cut back all the trees or the grass to not get rid of them, but just
Yeah.
fire smart them
Totally.
in an appropriate way. That's what emergency management is.
Right.
So I just want to be the voice to council and to the leaders and say, look, this is why emergency management is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why when Indigenous Service Canada comes up with a program like the new coordinator position,
Mm-hmm.
if you understand, the leadership understands what EM should be in their community, they as a leadership can push back and say, look, this is not enough money.
Mm-hmm.
We need enough money. We need to don't they I would advocate changing the terminology of EM coordinator
Mm-hmm.
back to director of emergency management,
Right.
because you look at the word coordinator. What's the perspective of coordinator?
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of in a little cubicle
Mm-hmm.
coordinating things,
Mm-hmm.
asking if we could train,
Right.
guiding and saying, no, we want to do this, and waiting for, you're not at a level of where you could go right to the directors
Yeah.
or engage with chief and council
Yeah.
with the tribal manager or CEO
Mm-hmm.
and so these are my concerns.
Yeah.
And I've talked to my colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
right? It'll get more traction.
Yeah.
And I could speak from experience that when I first started as the director of emergency management for Siksika Nation, that's what I did. I hit the ground running.
Right.
I asked if they wanted me to come back home, is I need to be at that director's level because I'll be able to do more change.
Yeah.
And I proved it.
Yeah.
I was out there, got funding.
Yeah.
I got $10 million in funding in over 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Restructured it. I had good rapport with the directors of each department.
Mm-hmm.
We worked together. They understood. Good working relationship. Things were moving along.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what leadership needs to understand. When an emergency management coordinator or director of emergency management comes up,
Mm-hmm.
they need to be heard
Mm-hmm.
and understood. Now, let's talk about the money piece.
Okay.
All right. We look at outside of most communities, municipalities, right? They are mandated to have a direct emergency manager, some kind of EM service.
Okay.
Wherever they put it, some major cities like here in Edmonton or Calgary, they've kind of combined it with the fire department, right?
Okay.
However, what I'm trying to say is that they recognize emergency management is important. So they allocate money and good amount of money into
Mm-hmm.
it. That's how the new council needs to do is recognize there are needs for emergency management,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to start recognizing that they're going to have to put a percentage of money into it and support the EM director
Mm-hmm.
to get outside funding to help the community.
Right.
We had a fire back in 2000 and I believe it was 15 or 16. Huge grass fire was started across the river on the municipal side. It was a farmer, and it happens. You know, they're farming and the bearings were getting hot. Started a huge grass fire, and of course, is the windiest day.
Sure.
90
As always.
kilometer mile, 90 kilometer an hour winds.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up jumping the river, coming on the nation. Well, at the end of the
Right.
day, $17 million in loss. We lost
Okay.
4 homes.
Yep.
So it's 4 families that are displaced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Each home, if you have to go back to Indigenous Services Canada, capital funding and everything, well, we need that. Yes, we have insurance.
Mm-hmm.
However, First Nation insurance, the premiums are so high.
Yeah.
It's hard to get it. It's hard to get it going and
Mm-hmm.
understanding what one home, if you were to include new landscaping, infrastructure needs to be repaired, whatever, basement, building
Mm-hmm.
it, you're looking at least $600,000,
Mm-hmm.
maybe less, maybe in and around that range, $400,000 to $600,000
Yeah.
to rebuild one home.
Per house.
And we haven't considered that for the most part, most First Nations, you can't have home insurance. You can have
Oh.
content insurance,
Okay.
but if most of the nation can't afford content insurance, now they've lost everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you rebuild their house, now they're going back to what?
Yeah.
How do they afford getting, so the nation, right, helps them out. Family Services helps them out.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to say is $17 million just in losses.
Yep.
We haven't even looked at the trauma of the
Sure.
families,
Yep.
putting the families up in hotels
Mm-hmm.
for months at a time,
Yeah.
right? Um, and if they were to put $1 million
Yeah.
into emergency management, support it,
Yep.
plan for it, support the fire departments, everything like that, do a um, fire prevention um, awareness,
Mm-hmm.
how to protect your community. I did it. I got funding for it through forestry. It was a challenge, but it was a challenge that I took on with the team that I had. Is the recognition of wildfire had funding,
Mm-hmm.
but it was predominantly for the green area.
Okay.
So forestry, firefighting. I said, so again, talking about getting funding, supporting the EM, getting consultants in and you telling them what is needed, proper risk, First Nations risk assessment. I was able to take my risk assessment, take all my data,
Mm-hmm.
present it to Alberta Wildfire,
Mm-hmm.
and saying we could utilize that grant, and
Mm-hmm.
here's why. Started doing, again, I used that big grass fire we had, $17 million.
Yeah.
With all those studies, they're like, say, we never recognized, I was able to get $25,000,
Right.
and we started a community um, fire awareness program, how to fire smart your homes.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that EM is good for is that, so during the summer, you've got summer students,
Mm-hmm.
right? The nation's always saying, oh, we got money for summer students.
Right.
Do you want them? Do you want them? And so I said, yeah, I was able to absorb 15 summer students,
Mm-hmm.
and they helped
Mm-hmm.
cut grass, clean yards.
Right.
We even took it. We didn't have to do it, but there's a lot of abandoned houses in Siksika Nation. We fire smarted their abandoned homes. We cleaned it all up for them
Mm-hmm.
because the grass fire hits, it's going to hit those locations.
Right.
And I talked to housing and they're like, man, Stace, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I said, that's part of EM, that
Yeah.
community safety aspect.
Yeah.
So they started going, thank you. They'd come and support Fuel. They drop off fuel. They would work with public works.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that whole EM, the liaise,
Yeah.
recognizing, working out with public works, saying, look, we're cleaning up these homes. We're going to do it a community at a time. We'll put it on the road. Can you at least come and pick up all the garbage?
Right.
They said, you bet, Stace.
Yeah.
Because public works, yes, they know they got to clean the yards, but they don't. We have such a big nation, other nations, whatever. They might have the capacity to
Sure.
clean the yards
Yep.
in a dump. So that's how we
Yeah.
work.
Working together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like one thing that I really take away from that is the investment into preparedness, mitigation, prevention, rather than waiting for the crisis to happen and paying the recovery costs instead.
Yeah.
Because those recovery costs are always more expensive than the preparedness costs. So using it and making sure that it's a priority at the forefront helps save money down the line when a crisis does hit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then again, wrapping up all of that in a financial perspective, I said $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
We had $17 million in loss. $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we tell council, would you rather pay $1 million or $17 million?
Yeah.
$1 million could have prevented
Yeah.
or reduced.
Yeah.
I use the word prevention and reduce,
Right.
right? Because it's never perfect.
Yeah.
However, if you start having that steamroll effect of awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to prove with the coordination of an emergency management perspective with housing, public works, with the community preparedness,
Mm-hmm.
their biggest thing was a lot of communities like, yeah, I know I got to cut my grass. They don't have the capabilities of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But once we cleaned up a community,
Yeah.
we fire guarded around the community, they were able to keep up with it because now it's
Sure.
not a big,
Yeah.
daunting task.
Mm-hmm.
And even if Public Works wanted to pick it up,
Yeah.
they're only cutting a little bit of grass. They're not having to throw 18 people at it all the time. You could just
Mhm.
have a crew of 5
Right.
or whatever.
Then it just becomes maintenance.
That's it, just maintenance, and it's
Yep.
safety, right?
Yep.
And it's supporting the community. So, and you give them options, right?
Mm-hmm.
You say, hey, we're going to fire smarter homes this week.
Mm-hmm.
If you take all of your junk and put it on the road, we'll come pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you clear all the debris in your yard, we'll come cut your grass.
Right.
Right? It's bringing the community, empowering them, and
Mhm.
supporting them.
Mm-hmm.
When you do it both parts,
Yep.
you're going to see that. On top of that, too, back to elections, right?
Yeah.
Those are the things that we need to start talking to the
Yeah.
council about. The
Yep.
little things.
Yep.
They talk about these big things. We're going to build hotels. We're going to build this. We're going to build. What about this? You talk about grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
Why not go back to,
Yeah.
in terms of emergency management, right? We look at the safety of the community. Our parks,
Mm-hmm.
we have little playgrounds that, kind of get promoted.
Mm-hmm.
They're left in shambles.
Right.
When I was cleaning the community with my crew and my team at EM, we went to those parks, raked up the sand.
Mm-hmm.
We were finding needles, broken glass.
Mm-hmm.
These poor children want to go out and play in these things, and
Right.
they're unsafe.
Yeah.
Right? What does the new council or leadership want to do with that perspective?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is creating that, hey, I love my community, looks so nice now. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what emergency management can do, right?
Right.
It can also support, health services
Mm-hmm.
and the community by encouraging and starting on mental health
Mm-hmm.
and emergency management mental health response,
Right.
right? They have a great service. All health services, I give them credit. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just emergency management for First Nations can kind of say, look, we got all this. Let's look at what a mental health emergency management response team will look like. So
Mm-hmm.
when emergency management coordinator, director of emergency management opens up a reception center, the emergency management director's got a team
Yeah.
a legit team.
Mm-hmm.
They've got mental health team.
Yeah.
Different from the day to day. They're a rescue. Like they're
Right.
there to engage and do.
Yeah.
Right. We've got a public works response. It's that capacity building
Mm-hmm.
that will save the nation's millions.
Right.
And when that concept of safety and while you really kind of you take right, that's what emergency management can do. And even in the economic development piece, right? I look at when I was part of starting the Sutton Nation Fire Department. Um, the fire chief that's at Siksika Nation was asked, what can we do? Because
Mm-hmm.
at the time they were building a casino,
Okay.
heavy investments in the very beginning, saying, well, okay, we'll build a casino. How are you going to protect it?
Mm-hmm.
Fire, whatever else. And at the time they were looking at, well, the city of Calgary can do it. Well, they wanted $10 million retainer,
Mm.
and then they're still going to charge if they went onto the nation
Right.
per vehicle. So on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so the fire chief for Six Nations said, "You're gonna give $10 million. Why not build your own fire department?"
Yeah.
Right? And they did, and it's empowering them,
Mm-hmm.
the nation. So they built their own fire department, right?
Yeah.
And now it's flourishing, right? And what I'm trying to say is if a nation wants to develop, like I look at Six Nation, I'm like, why don't we have a Tim Hortons?
Mm.
We've got a Petro,
Mm-hmm.
we've got a Subway.
Okay.
Other places got their own gas stations, and Chiniki's got a Tim Hortons, a casino, and that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get more buy-in and more people to come out and do this, there's a piece that it's like, okay, if it gets shut down, how quickly can you get it up and running?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to secure my investment?
Right.
How are you going to keep it up and running? So if power goes out, what's your plan to get the power back on temporarily?
Yeah.
It's that thinking of emergency management
Right.
that will bring economic development into the nation,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And that's all driven by the emergency management.
Yeah.
And I'm going to change the word. I don't like using coordinator. I'm going to say director of emergency management
Yeah.
because
That's
that's how
what
it
they
should
are.
be, right?
Yeah.
So we touched on a lot of things. I know the gear is awareness to leadership,
Mm-hmm.
chief and council. They need to hear this. Also, too, in a community perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced that when I first started as a director of emergency management, helping other communities, is I engaged into the community for in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need? What do you think emergency management is?
Yeah.
What are your concerns? And I started talking about my plans and how they can help. That's a lot of voices
Mm-hmm.
that can go to leadership.
Yeah.
And so in a community perspective is let them know what's going on out there. Like, what are
Mm-hmm.
your concerns?
Yeah.
How they can help.
Yeah.
Let's invest. Council should be investing in the simple things first and then look at the big
Sure.
picture.
Yeah.
There's got to be a balance,
Mm-hmm.
not just we're going to build these casinos, we're going to build.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get that. How are you going to sustain it?
Yeah.
Is emergency management involved? What's going to happen? All of
Yeah.
that stuff, right? So I believe that's the recognition of emergency management
Mm-hmm.
is such a hard concept.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk and encourage the emergency management positions that are in First Nations.
Yeah.
This is what you have to do. I believe in mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the voicing of First Nations perspective on emergency management.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in getting counsel, the leadership. I challenge them. Go to ISC and say, you're failing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're failing not to say it in a political way. I always believe in this. If you have a problem, rather than saying you failed me,
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing your job, say that and bring a solution to the table.
Right.
This is what's going to work for us.
Yeah.
And in doing that, you engage your emergency management, director of emergency management, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that's what council should be doing, is advocating for that, because otherwise IC is just going to listen to, unfortunately, the bigger First Nations political parties.
Mm-hmm.
So AFN,
Right.
they're out east.
Yeah.
It's a big, pardon me, Chelsea,
That's okay.
they're a big organization.
Mm-hmm.
Do they speak on behalf of the Western First Nations? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right.
However, there's a lot of things that go on out east,
Yeah.
and ISC sees that political body. They think they're
Yeah.
the be all end all.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anything bad about AFN. They've done some great things.
Yeah.
They've empowered a lot of communities. They've done a lot of great things. However, it's all council should come to the table and say, look,
Yeah.
we need change. And AFN is not the only, or any organization,
Yeah.
whether it be a provincial or agency that's helping First Nations, BC, Alberta, you name it. It's council saying, why can't we have our own
Mm-hmm.
committee that raises concerns, right? So that's what council should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And how to do that is to work with the emergency management director.
Yeah.
They can give them all the information, the power,
Yeah.
and they can voice it, right?
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of change for First Nations.
Right.
Because the last thing I'll say is, when they're voiced it by municipalities, they're given money.
Mm-hmm.
It's mandatory.
Right.
They have the Emergency Management Act
Yeah. Right.
as a province. But it says nothing, it doesn't include First Nations at all.
Mm-hmm.
We should have our own Emergency Management Act. If we had that
Mm-hmm.
right across Canada, empowerment
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
The federal government would have to recognize that legislation.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be a consistent one,
Yeah.
right across the board, or it could be a provincial, like what here they have the Alberta Emergency Management Act.
Yeah.
Could be Alberta First Nations
Yeah.
Emergency Management Act. And how you do that is supporting
Mm-hmm.
an emergency management director in your community.
Yep.
Listen to them, hear them out.
Mm-hmm.
And I want everyone to know is, I just voice it. I just say it. I can provide that for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest thing that I'm challenged with is I can't get to enough communities.
Right.
However, you can still call me, you can still email me, you can still
Mm-hmm.
get in contact, with Hazardscape, right? Great partnership.
Mm-hmm.
We believe strongly in recognizing all of these challenges, right? And I'm not just saying that just to go, this is bad, Hazardscape's good, we can solve
Right.
the problem.
Yeah.
I'm saying that look at who's out there
Mm-hmm.
that's First Nations, that has emergency management experience.
Mm-hmm.
We should be engaging more with them
Yeah.
than the big corporations,
Yeah.
right? Because we understand our own people as First Nations.
Right.
Doesn't matter where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
We understand culture,
Mm-hmm.
elders. And if chief and councils don't kind of say, hey, is there anybody out there that can help?
Mm-hmm.
It's people like myself that want to help.
Yeah.
I believe strongly when I help a community, and I've done a lot of it. I've
Mm-hmm.
been as far as the Yukon,
Yeah.
where I think I had more caribou in my lifetime than anything. I've been to ceremonies
Mm-hmm.
in my communities I help. I pride myself on being into the community,
Yeah. Being part of it.
being part of it, being part of what their ways are,
Mm-hmm.
what their needs are. I customize it to them.
Mm-hmm.
I become part of their family. And that's the traditional way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to build that relationship.
Yep.
The elder's going to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
Council's going to trust you. The community.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that firsthand I know I'm doing a good job when I go to community help them. The community members see me. They're inviting me over for dinner.
Right.
That's the traditional way of doing it.
Yeah.
Elder invite me for tea,
Mm-hmm.
talk.
Yeah.
That's what emergency management
That's
is for
the
First Nations.
yeah.
Do you have any other questions there, Miss Chelsey?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of topics
Yeah,
and gave a lot of really good insight into what it means to be in emergency management for First Nations.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.